So if you join me in a pledge of allegiance, please. Thank you. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So Beth's got a prayer for us today.
Oh, good. Perfect. Beth?
Let's do an attitude of prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this day, and thank you for this place, and thank you for these people. And dear God, as we do the work that you put us here to do, please watch over us, care for us, and help us to serve others better. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you.
Well, I apologize, I don't have a case of beer up here. Roll call, please.
I'd want to tell you why now.
Commissioner Kirchner,
I am here.
Commissioner Paradiso,
Here.
Commissioner Shaw.
Okay, so I will accept the motion to approve the digital audio video recording of our last meeting last Thursday, the 12th.
So moved?
I will second. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Paradiso,
Yes.
Commissioner Kirchner.
Yes. Okay, Administrator.
Just a couple things. We've got our sales tax numbers in, and we received $958,389. 2020 was $855,000, and 2019 was $758,000. So the last 13 years I've got on my spreadsheet, this is the highest year in August. So
Is this for June? This is June?
this is
Mostly June?
mostly June. It's 2 to 3 months behind, so
Yeah,
mainly 2.
Give me the number one more time, the sales tax number.
Current, 958,000.
Okay.
So,
It's just, we just, numbers are what they are. But
Do you have any idea where
It's
we're
bad.
tracking through the end of July as opposed to budget or as opposed to what's been authorized?
no, the last time, I talk to Jean every now and then, and, she says titles aren't going down by any means. People are still buying, and
Wow.
car sales are still up. Yeah, we're still on track with what was projected.
Okay.
And obviously she increased it.
Yeah, typically the second half of the year is a little better than the first. so.
Yep. And I'll
It's
give you
mind-boggling
those.
because there are no cars on the lot.
Right. They're finding them somewhere, and even if they buy them from out of county, if they live in the county, then the
Still pay
sales tax
taxes.
still comes
So
to
they buy them
Seneca County.
online and take
So,
care, yeah.
It used to not be that way, but that it is now. So I'll give you an update just where we're sitting at in expenses, because I don't think I gave you July's yet this year. So we are sitting at the end of July, we were at 1.3 in expenses, which is a little higher than 20, but we were in COVID, and about the same as 19. So far through the year, we were at 11.3. And then revenue for July is 1.4. Property tax has not been settled yet. And that is up from 19 and 20. And total revenue collected so far in 2021 is 11 million
Okay. Through July.
through July, through the end of July. Yep.
You spent 11.3?
Yep. Yep. And those were, some of the transactions that we do. Like we increased the amount we gave out of the general fund to EMS. So there were some things that we did at the beginning of the year that, the expenses are a little bit higher, but it's those one-time transfers. We moved some to the capital improvement. So it's showing up as an
Yeah.
expense, but
Rainy
they were
day fund.
transfers too. So it's just how the reports show.
Do we know what the carryover is?
No, I'd have to see. I was thinking
It's close to 2 something?
the last time she sent a cert, let's see what it says. Nope, that's not it.
So is it been almost a month
Yeah,
ago?
it's
Okay,
over
I
2.
remember.
Let's see what this one is.
4 or something.
This
It's
is
like-
general fund 2.6
Six.
is what we have available.
Okay.
And One thing I wanted to update, I know the city of Tiffin had a meeting this week, and Representative Click was in. You know, the city is concerned about, you know, how the restructuring of the ARP money, and just a couple comments, whether it was actually said or just what was in the paper, but, you know, they insinuated that Seneca County basically governs the township. We have no more control over the townships than we do the city of Tiffin or any villages, city of Astoria. So just want to make sure people are aware. We don't govern the townships. They are their own elected officials. They make their own decisions. So not sure. Just want to make sure that was clear. We don't govern the townships. And, you know, just the comments keep being made that, you know, the county's getting in 10 million and we don't know what we're doing with it. Well, we have plenty of plans that we're working on. This is good through 2024. And, you know, we're just taking our time evaluating the processes. We've got revenue to evaluate. So we do have a plan for what we're using it for.
Well, I mean, it's quite the contrary that we don't have an idea of what's going on with it, because we have, like you said, a number of times sat and talked about a priority list. There are certain restrictions with the money that people need to understand that has to be COVID related. And it's not like the original rescue plan money. It's a whole nother set of rules. So we are trying to apply that money as best we can throughout the county, again, being certain that we don't create recurring expenses.
Right.
But building a solid foundation for a number of areas. Ambulance service is one of them. We also have some needs as it relates to buildings and grounds that we're restricted on how we can use it, but we want to use it for those projects as much as we can. So there are plenty of uses for it, certainly.
Two comments here to add to that. So for everyone that's made a request for the money, it's not that we said no. We've got it on a list, and we have 3 years to spend this money, to commit the money, and we actually have 2 years after that to spend it.
Correct.
So unlike the first money, if you remember, we had to have it spent by December 31st. See Bill back there nodding. So everyone was trying to spend this money, and then on December 30th, I think, or 29th, the state said, oh, by the way, you don't have to spend it
For another year.
For another year. Well, we were out of money, we got aggressive, I think we deployed that money best we could to good use. So this is different, so, you know, people might be thinking it worked the same, to Mike's point, and it's not. And so there's nothing wrong with taking your time to deploy the money. I mean, we want to make sure we do the right thing.
Right. Revenue replacement could be huge, and it might not be necessarily this year, but it could be in 2022, 23, or even 24, so.
Yeah, and one more point about the townships. As far as townships are concerned, I mean, we have different political subdivisions, right? The city is its own political subdivision. They make decisions for the city. The townships are their political subdivision. They make decisions about what's best for the township that they're in. Sometimes those decisions don't relate directly to the decisions that the county wants to make, because there's some differences of opinion. But whenever we have an opportunity to assist the townships in understanding such things as the American Rescue Plan, we take that opportunity. You know, we had a meeting on August the 10th, was it? With Highbridge, a company that we pay as a consultant, to go over with the township trustees and the fiscal officers exactly what they could use their money on, how the application process worked. So we try to work in cooperation with them, knowing all along that we have no jurisdiction over them, other than to work as partners, because most of what's in the township's interest is in the county's interest.
And the EMS is perfect too. You can lay that in there, that's why we have our meetings, you know, it's not all our decision. The trustees, villages, they're all out there, and we're trying to work with them, but we sure don't govern them.
Right. I just
Yeah, it's a good point.
seen that in the paper, I think, a couple times now, so I just wanted to make sure we mentioned that.
And we are in discussions with the city, you might want to mention, regarding costs at the Justice Center.
Yep, I've got Derek, sent Derek a message, you know, he's working on a new lease agreement. So when we entered into the joint use management agreement with the Justice Center, it was detailed out between, and basically set as a percentage. So we pay 75% of the cost, they pay 25% of the cost. So every year, it's kind of a long process to true up the amount, and, you
Well, the
know,
ledger talking about different items at the Justice Center is probably
yes,
at least 2 pages.
yes,
And there's a number of line items, right? That frankly, we being the county, has control over.
right,
Negotiating power, bills, and security, et cetera, et cetera.
yep. And with that building becoming one, it's one address now with the Justice Center and the annex, and not all of our meters are separated. So, you know, it's just, okay, should it be 25% of this? Should it be 13% of this? So, you know, in good faith, we entered into that contract, and we've been working with that contract. But the city has now kind of asked, could we negotiate and do some sort of just a lease payment, and then maybe review it every 3 to 5 years to make sure our expenses are still in line with their lease payment. So,
I think it's a fair
our-
request, and, you
yeah.
know, we sat down and talked with them about it. The other thing that we're doing,
Administrative, it
is
makes
similar.
life easier, administrative.
yep, yep. And we'll still review it and adjust it if needed.
The first I heard about it, so.
Well, yeah,
I'm okay with
That
it's
was
similar
just-
to what we're doing here too, is we're putting some money away for maintenance, right? I mean,
Yeah.
in the past, and one of the reasons for the last controversy was there was nothing left to maintain the building. So we're trying to make certain that there's money in the hopper, so
Yeah,
when the roof does go bad, or when HVAC system does go down, there's adequate funding available to take care of it.
yeah. The city, it started out the city at 10,000, and we do 30,000, and it's gone up 3% ever since. So that's in a capital improvement just for the Justice Center. But, you know, it'd be much easier if we could negotiate just a payment and then just reevaluate it with the expenses. So Derek and Brent Howard are gonna work on that. And so that'll make it easier going forward, because it is.
Okay, anything else?
Nope, I don't think so. That's all I had today.
Well, we have with us, and I'm gonna botch this name, I know, Greg Gallietti.
Galetti.
Is
Yeah,
it Paisan?
eyes on.
Okay, all right, Kumbah.
Yeah.
So we're gonna talk a little bit about the service building and handicap accessibility.
You want to pull
Greg,
that
you've
up?
been here before, right?
Yeah, my name's Greg
Good to see
Galetti.
you.
I'm Director of Architecture with DLZ. We helped you out with a little study for this facade restoration and ADA upgrade, and then have been hired to kind of finish the job now. So what I wanted to do today was show the commissioners kind of where we are on the exterior. The next step, if everybody's copacetic with it, will be to talk to the design committee for City of Tiffin and progress to get drawings, finalize the drawings and get this thing out for bids. So with that, you guys are familiar with their existing building. That's kind of a view. My rendering guy said, should I make the stucco wall look more disheveled than it does? And I said, no, they know what they got over there, so don't worry about that.
Some
So,
cracks and,
yeah, the big, you know, there's moisture hanging behind the stucco, kind of to the right of the entry door, and, you know, you keep thinking that it's gonna pop off and get somebody wet, but it hasn't done that yet, so. Go ahead and start that, Stacy, and we'll talk about the back first.
Sure.
Let me ask you just one appearance general
Yeah.
question right off the bat.
Yeah.
Everybody, well, okay, so this is the rendering of the new? or
Yes.
the old?
This is the back.
Yeah, new.
back.
It'll all be new from here on out.
Okay, all right, well, I'll hold my comments until I
Okay.
see the,
So the kind of the idea with this whole renovation for the entry is to start in the back, because we have to have an alternate ADA entrance to the back side of the building before we tear up the Perry Street side. So what you're seeing here is an extension of that existing landing that comes out of the doors. It's not shown, but to the right of the, I don't know if it'll show on the screen if I point at it. Let me look. Sometimes the TV screens don't
Don't let you point.
let you point. Yeah, so to the right of the entry door, exit door there. There's a pad, and you've got a little generator sitting there right now. And our thought was we'd take the handicap ramp to the left, because if it has to come around that, it's going to interfere with the driving you guys are doing into the building to load for voting or whatever else you're doing, and then you head out kind of the alley to the parking lot to the health department. So this seemed to be a better play to do it this way. And also, we've got a new wall there shown to the pit, as it's called. And the idea is we build this new wall this side of the old wall. The old wall has a lot of somewhat weird construction things that are there, left over from when you had a little building there. And we thought the best approach, instead of trying to reuse that and piece something together, is just build a new wall in front of the old. Those little caps you're seeing, the existing wall right now has 4 limestone caps, and we've, they work fine, and we thought, well, let's just reuse them on this new wall, put some little pilasters in and set that up. So that's kind of what you're seeing there. The brick would match the building on the backside. When this is all finished, you're gonna see it roll in a minute with striping and everything for the pavement. We would tear down that old wall, extend the backfill, which will be gravel, behind our wall as a new base, and then patch the asphalt up on the upper side so it comes right over to the new wall, and you won't see any of the trace of the old wall when it's torn down. With that, Stacy, why don't you run it? And
Did you practice this, Stacy?
yeah, she did.
Just a few minutes.
Okay, that's pretty good. I'm impressed.
Kinda look at it this way.
Yeah, this is good right here. So the idea with this all along has been to bring the South Washington Street facade material, which is limestone, and wrap the corner with it. And that way we think we have a good approach of tying the South Washington Street facade with the Perry Street side. So it adds continuity to that corner, rather than having a limestone front and perhaps a brick sidewall. Right now it's stucco. So that's what you're seeing. The brick from the back is coming around, the limestone you can go ahead and run it.
A little bit, okay.
Yeah, you're all
Oh,
right.
they could see the front?
Yeah, go ahead and just let it go.
Okay.
So, here's my question.
Yes.
This is the new. Is there any way that limestone can be tinted to match more of a brick color? Our big, our concern downtown is we've got this building and a building on the next corner to the south that's precast concrete.
Right.
It doesn't blend
Right,
with anything else downtown.
right.
So it would seem to me that this building would fade into the background without a precast concrete look.
Well, this is your limestone's a little warmer in
Right,
tone
I
than
get that.
concrete, not,
Right.
you know what we're dealing with. That would be a question I'd have to ask the limestone rep.
Okay.
You could do probably a stain. It wouldn't be paint, it would be a stain, just like you would tint concrete. In this case, we would try to tint the limestone and tone it down a little bit, or it could get into the orange. We have to be a little careful with the colors, but
Sure.
that would be a question, Mike, I've got to ask and
Okay.
find out.
I mean, it may just be my opinion at this point, but, we're trying to get rid of that precast concrete look because it
Yeah,
just doesn't blend with what else is happening down there.
right.
Uh,
I know you've tried to clean this limestone too. It doesn't clean up really well, but the building's not horrible looking. That's why we,
Right.
the stucco's kind of nasty, and you guys know that, but
Yeah.
the rest of it, I mean, you've got cornelian granite trimming out the front entry. That's what you're seeing there. That stays there. You've got that canopy there.
Are you taking a door out on this side?
Well, that door flashed and then
Yeah.
came away again. The door is subject to, go ahead, see if maybe just run the whole thing, Stacy, that might be easier. Just go back and hit that,
Okay.
your reverse button. It should take you back to the beginning.
Yeah, there is a door.
There is a door
Right
there.
Whoop, you got it.
Yeah, I'm gonna show the after picture.
Yeah, when you get to where that door shows up, the new door, go ahead and try to pause it.
Okay.
And then we can talk a couple things. show up right about now.
And that wall goes away.
Yeah,
There it
pause
is.
it right
Yeah.
there. So the other thing we've talked about is you have that wall out in the parking lot that's been damaged in a couple places. What we didn't know originally was that your parking lot it's almost like I'm exaggerating, but it's almost like a tube for skateboarding. It ramps up to the building about this far, and it also ramps up at the Perry Street side to the wall that's over on Perry Street. So you don't notice it until you start talking about taking the wall out, and the parking lot will not align with the sidewalk around it. So we're trying to make the transition from sidewalk to parking to be not a trip hazard, let's put it that way. So taking the wall out has some benefits. It's in disarray. One, it comes out. It'll give you a little more relief for parking on the Perry Street side. Because you're not gonna be worrying about, you're gonna be able to let your car nose hang into that
Yeah.
concrete area a little bit, and that will help. So with that said, what we're talking about doing is, right now you have two catch basins running right down the middle of your parking lot, and again, water from the building flows to the middle of the lot, water from where the person is standing off to the left. Water there runs to the middle. It's picked up by those catch basins, and then it goes off to the storm sewer. What we're talking about doing is changing the grading there so that all the water from this parking lot drains down to the left side where the flower bed is, so to speak, and there will be a catch basin right about where Stacy's cursor is right there. And it would be more of a gravel, not small gravel, but not super boulders either. The water will come to this corner, go to the catch basin, and then go to the storm sewer. So there's an opportunity to do a little bit of landscaping there. It would not be a good idea to put bark or something lightweight there because you're gonna have water coming into that corner. So that's kind of the plan with the parking lot. The good thing about it would be you will have an ADA acceptable entrance from, you just have to provide one from a sidewalk, and it could be Washington Street or Perry, and you will be able to roll a wheelchair across that lot from Perry right to the entrance, and it complies with the ADA rules. So
And that was big with the Secretary of State, and that's why the Secretary
Yeah.
of State allowed us to use some of their
Yeah, they
their
actually said,
funding.
I think they actually said the grade on Washington Street is too steep for a wheelchair.
well,
That's what they came back with the one time.
Yeah.
Sure doesn't look steep to me, but
yeah, I mean, you can't reconfigure a whole street, but
Right.
the way the ADA rules read is, as long as there's an acceptable, now, we didn't show the pathway, but it could be, it would just confuse people, but from just past where the cars are, where that white car is,
Yeah.
there is an acceptable grade going from that sidewalk into the building, and you're pretty good.
And one of the things that we talked about, and this is minor, but it's not. The address of that property is Washington Street.
We did change it.
We
We
did
got it
change it?
changed, yes,
Okay.
yes.
Because what was happening
Yes.
is, for handicap access, people
Fire
were
chief.
parking someplace on
Yes.
Washington Street and had to come across to get to that building. Rather than the address be on Perry Street, they could pull in that lot.
Yep.
Right.
90
I think 92 is the address, and you'll see
92
that,
is
we've
fine.
got that over the front door.
I like it
Good,
open.
perfect.
Yeah.
I like it.
So back to this door that's put in here. So what changes with the door? Right now, it's not needed for an exit, so that's a good thing. The bad thing is the configuration of the door and the landing does not meet current code, meaning that if a door swings into a landing, it cannot chop the landing in half. So we've got a bigger landing coming out. It needs a rail because it's now up 2 steps. Because the grade change in that corner, like I said before, where that striping you see, diagonal striping starts, the parking space actually ramps up to the building and takes away one of the steps needed. So by changing the grading, the landing for that door gets a little more convoluted, and it has to be bigger. And of course, we have to put a rail around it. So that whole issue with the door gets a little more impacted than it kind of is now. It is what it is. There's a cost implication of putting that door in also. And I would just add this, I understand the function of that door. But I also know in a lot of county buildings we work on, you know, it's more, the focus has been to reduce the amount of entry points or exit points to a building if possible, just for security reasons. So, you know, if we have extraneous doors, you know, there's always an opportunity to just secure the building a little better. So, you know, that'll probably get me off that.
Is that 1 or 2 parking spots?
Yeah, it'll take up 2 parking spaces.
It's cleaner that way.
Go ahead, Stace, and click that. It'll run to the end, and you could run it back to the beginning. And we would put parking blocks up against the building only, just to keep people from driving into your new facade. Again, limestone would match the front, brick would match the back. And you have a lot of that brick around town. I mean, that orange brick is, you start looking, in fact, it might even be the same brick that's in the church across the street. That brick shows up, you know, the more we got into it, I'm like, whoa, I didn't even expect it. There's a lot of buildings that use that brick, and I think it's a Belden brick. I didn't bring the sample, but we've had the rep come out. He's matched the brick. We've got a sample of it. It's a pretty good match, but that brick does show up multiple places.
John, you got a pile over someplace, don't you? You have a pile of brick?
Yeah, right. Well, it kind of crumbled.
Yeah, but I mean, I thought there was some new stuff somewhere that I saw.
I had new stuff left over from the sidewalk of the
Well, it's not the same
Justice
as on the
Center.
bill. Okay, I didn't know.
No.
I don't know if we
He
went through the
found
process of matching it
yeah,
before or not.
Greg found a brick in Fremont, I think.
Yeah, I
brick
think it
and a
is.
stone
Yeah.
from a vendor in Fremont.
Gotcha.
That matches very well. It matches the
Good.
prosecutor's office and then around the backside. So,
I mean, if I had my absolute choice, that sandstone would be brick.
oh, okay.
I don't think it's that bad myself, the sandstone.
Well-
I would,
I don't think
Let's look at
it's
telling
that,
it.
I'm not saying it's that bad, I just think
yeah, you
that
just want the brick.
it kind of pops out.
Yeah. Well, we're,
I do like the wall going, it's a clean look.
It's the same style parking lot that we have at the RTA.
Yeah, I think it's great.
yeah.
See, and I believe when Commercial National Bank,
Nice
on the
clean.
corner there, I think that was all sandstone, and they left, I thought on the bottom that was sandstone too, it
It
doesn't
is.
show that in the
It-
picture.
remember?
It is,
Isn't there a sandstone strip on the bottom?
right.
Talk about the building this
Yeah.
way?
Yeah, the building to the south.
Yeah, I gotta look.
Anyways,
Yeah.
but they bricked that front then, because at one point that was sandstone.
And that sandstone is all worn out right now.
Yeah, I mean, it looked
Yeah,
bad.
we did get a price to replace that at one point, but it was quite high.
Well-
Mr. Ridenbaugh, you were here, weren't you, when we saw this the first time?
Yeah.
Because you made a couple comments about the
Yeah.
windows and,
Yes, and I don't know why there's windows up there now.
yeah, the ones on this side?
Yes, why do you need windows there?
Yeah.
That just leaves more air coming to that building, more to heat it.
For light, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah, natural light, that's on the north side, so it's not a glare issue there. That's your bullpen area up on level 2, where those windows are added on the Perry Street facade up there. Insulation wise, what we're thinking here, you have when that stucco comes off, you've got an existing brick wall that was put in there. It's 13 inches thick. We drilled through it and did some camera evaluation. So that brick was never designed to be an exterior wall of the building. It was always meant to be butted up, I think, against the hardware store. And I don't know the
Schwable's.
whole history, but it was a common, what'd you say, sir?
Schwable's, that was the name of the store.
Swabley's?
Yeah.
Well, and then our side of the wall is also the old theater wall.
Was what?
The old theater wall from that location.
Yeah. Well,
That was tore down years ago.
Well, Sal's was there for a long time, but I'm
Well,
not.
before the Sal's. There
Was a grocery store there.
There was a
before the
grocery
Sal's.
store.
Grocery
Before that.
Yeah, okay.
Whoa.
But anyhow, that wall's,
There's a grocery store there in the 50s and 60s,
okay.
and then when
yeah.
Sal's came, yeah.
So outside that, once that stucco comes off, outside there, we would do this wall like a typical brick cavity wall, whether it's limestone or brick. So what we're thinking is we would put a waterproofing layer over that, the brick, and about 2.5 to 3 inches of rigid insulation. Then they're going to the outside. Then there would be an air space. to allow any moisture they got through the brick, because brick does allow moisture through it, or the stone. It'll hit the moisture barrier and it'll come down and drain out of the bottom at weep holes. So it's a technology that's been around forever. It's pretty foolproof. As long as you don't let them plug up the bottom with grout when they're doing their brick and plug up the vents coming out of the drain weeps. So that's the only technical thing you really got to watch. So you're going to end up with a better performing facade here that by a lot than what you got. So, you know, with the increased insulation, etc. So this wall, even with the windows, is going to perform better than what you got now, which is with no windows and, you know, a couple doors there and some stucco. So I think environmentally, I think and energy-wise, I think we've got a handle on the way to do it. With that, I guess I'll.
As far as the windows go, Tom, I think you can't make a building too tight, right? I mean,
you know, if it's a new building, you're going to have a fresh air requirement that you got to do by code. So
okay.
I think the problem a lot of the engineers are having right now, and some of them are just, you know, if you tell them, well, I want to have operable windows, which would not be the case here, they look at you like a deer in the headlights. Well, how do I get my system to balance? Because they're calculating the exhaust coming out of bathrooms and everything, and then the intake. So when you start opening it up, you know, it gets them a little heartburn when you do that.
okay.
Yeah.
These will be stationary windows, though. Right?
Yes.
Yeah, so
Yes.
you won't be able to open them or anything, and their
That's right.
windows today are pretty.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They'd be double glazed windows, so they're not gonna leak. They're gonna perform. They're not gonna leak air. They're gonna perform way better than the existing windows.
I mean,
You know, and again, the object of this is try to take some of the strengths of the front facade and just turn the corner, because this is a kind of a gateway building for some of your festivals. There will be a hook put up here so that if the event that the banner thing starts to happen, your neighbors across the street got to respond, because that's, you know, they need something to hook on over there.
I think Simply Susan's across the street, she wants to put one up there.
Yeah.
And there'll be a banner, so if we have parades or festivals, they'll be able to fasten it
Yeah,
on
that
our
big
building
cable, yeah.
across.
Yeah. I
to
think they'll.
Simply Susan's.
I know John has voiced some opinions from the traffic engineer that,
That's it.
you know, the view from up past the courthouse looking down, the banner doesn't block the view of the red light right here to the left. And I don't think it will. I mean, if you get up there and look, and I've done it a couple times, and I think this thing is so high that relative to the traffic light that I don't think that'll be a problem. And if you do look across the street, you got two buildings there. One on the left is a little lower, and then you got one, and it looks like to me that if they do the building across the street, they would attach something to the parapet of the taller building on the, it's up the hill side, and then do a big bracket there coming around the front, and it would attach to the side of the parapet and around the front, and that's where their hook would be.
Okay.
I don't think they
So
obviously
they'll-
can't just screw it into that wood facade or whatever they've got there. And I thought that would probably be the most painless thing to that facade. And I don't think, honestly, anybody would even notice it if it isn't in use. But, so we will be preparing for a banner off this side, and then needs to be.
They're responsible for the other side.
Yeah, yeah.
Good.
Any questions or anything? I think what we would like to do is get permission to have the dialogue with the design committee, with Tiffin, and make sure they're, you know, whatever issues they've got and comment, and then we would, of course, report back, or if John's at the meeting, you guys would find out what's up with that. So,
I think you consider this our permission to do that.
Yeah, good.
good.
Yeah, nice job.
Thank you.
Great.
Thank you. I left some extra copies of the drawings here, if anybody needs them, and that's your set. It has a couple views here, and it's also got the existing plan and the modified plan for these entrances. Not a lot to talk about there, but this new entrance gets wider It's actually pretty gracious. It's a vestibule now, which will be good. I think it flows pretty well. It doesn't really take anything out of your floor plan that, except a little storeroom that is between the existing door and the corner office off to the left. Again, 2 handicap spots. You technically only need 1, but we've got 2 there. Pretty gracious entry. I think it can light up nice at night for you. Internally, there's some graphics that could happen on the wall in through the doors.
I would even sacrifice a couple of more spots, 3 to make 2. If any place in the county needs handicap parking, it's the health department,
Right,
right?
right.
So it would seem to me that to the right of that door, if it were me, I'd put a couple of spots in there if worthwhile.
I think, this doesn't show the striping because it's gonna disappear for that other door here, but let me look at that, Mike. I know we can definitely do it between the white car and the corner, like
Okay.
there's 2 spots there.
Yeah,
That's
I-
all part of the path, and then it starts to slope a little bit. I think we can still get at least 1 to the right of the entry,
Okay.
and we might be able to get 2.
Yeah, I'm just thinking that if any place, like I said, any building needs handicap entrance, it's just one.
Yeah.
We also
Sometimes-
have back in the pit area, that, what we do back there for the construction, as far as that being our main entrance, plus
Right.
our handicap, that stays. That
Yeah.
doesn't get tore out, so there will be 1 or 2 handicap spots back there. And as we have an employee in a wheelchair, I'm sure she will probably want to use that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So overall, we will have 3 or 4.
In that lot, there's
Okay.
not any space there that's too far for most people to walk. It's not like
Exactly.
you're asking to park in the Walmart parking lot or anything.
And that'll all be smooth now, as we tear the blacktop out and we sheet flow the water away, we'll be able to roll right into that door.
Yes, Thomas?
Are those doors, the new doors, recessed back in, or are they on the wall?
They're slightly recessed, the first set you see here, and then there's another set internally that would be parking lot side of the existing hallway. They recess on the inside just a little bit.
So when you get to the first door, is that recessed far enough that you're out of the weather?
Yeah, yeah. It's not huge, but it's enough. And again, this is the north side of the building, so fortunately, we don't have to deal with the west side, which, blowing snow, wind, whatever, rain.
Was there a timeline for this project?
Well, we get through the design review committee and get approvals. I think the plan is to bid this thing relatively soon, and because of which, and I would probably start this after the dead of winter,
Okay.
just because there's masonry involved and some materials need to be ordered, blah, blah, blah. So,
Mhm.
Yeah, well, this is an ongoing saga here. We've talked about this for a lot of years.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so that, what Mr. Bridemont was thinking was my thought. So that offset should be enough, with we have an awning in the front, you see those, some architectural type of overhang there, but
It's a little porch almost.
it's a little
Yeah.
porch, but that looks like maybe 3 feet, or
Yeah,
what do you think?
that's what it
Pretty
was. It was
decent.
about 3.
3 feet, so.
and we could play with that a little
You
bit.
can get in there, gather yourself, open the door, out of the weather.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's to the north.
The vestibule will be big enough
I'm good.
because of the side lights that if you were, let's say, waiting for a ride,
Yeah,
you'll be able to stand there behind the glass and wait. You don't really have, like I said, it's gracious enough, basically 4 doors wide there. So I think that would help somebody that's dropped off and picked
Okay.
up a little bit there. We'll look at recess in the door. ADA needs a minimum of 7'6" between doors. It's enough so you can get your, potentially a wheelchair in there. The door shuts behind you and then you open the other one. So, we can play with that a little bit. And, but again, it's about a 3-foot recess right now, so.
Yeah, what I was thinking about, somebody's handicapped with an umbrella, with a walker or a wheelchair,
yeah.
trying to open a door.
Yeah.
The push button.
Yeah,
You have to
Good
push
point.
button, you still gotta have a free hand to do that.
that's right.
Sure, yeah.
That's right.
So I think we're good with that.
Back in,
That's a good point.
The self-assist doors, are only required on federal buildings. So they're a convenience to everywhere else, and you see them very often, and that would not be a bad idea here, to have this, like you have now. You have the button, by the way, it's not at ADA height, I think it's a little higher than it should be, but your point's well taken. Is it right hand or left side, you know? And can somebody, if they don't have access to either arm, can they do it? So,
But there's some 80-year rules that boggle my mind. In banking business, for example, you have a braille on a drive-up ATM. Okay.
yeah.
Yes.
I don't, you may have already covered this before I came in, but the next design review meeting is September 7th, and they just need to have your stuff 1 week before that, so you'll
Okay.
have time to.
Okay.
And I can pass your card on to our person in our office that deals with that if you want. She can help you get through that process.
Okay, that'd be
Thanks,
awesome.
Bud. Did you hear that, John? September 7th.
And then go to. I'll copy you.
Okay.
Amy makes sure she calls me every time she hears us talking about it. Don't forget me.
Is it a day
No, we
meeting or
won't, we
evening?
won't.
When do
They are during the day, usually at 3:30, I believe.
3:30?
Yeah.
Okay.
But
This,
I'll
has
send
this
you
been
the
run
note.
past the board architectural review?
That's
No,
what we're
that's what
That's
we're
what
talking
they're
about.
That's what I'm
going
talking about,
to,
okay,
yeah.
I got you. All right. Okay,
Nice work.
Thank you.
thank you. Any other questions before we move on? Commissioner Paradiso, what do you got for us today?
Just a couple clarifications, I guess. First topic is broadband, and I think we've settled in on a process, at least I have as a commissioner. So we've been approached by several carriers, vendors, about partnering county with a specific vendor in these broadband initiatives. You know, it's my position that we really don't choose people. We're kind of Switzerland when it comes to this. So what we've done, we've been working on, we've talked about this for a couple of months. We have a broadband task force established. Audrey's here, she's been part of it. First meeting will be the 23rd of August. All the township trustees are invited, villages and the various carriers that do business in our county. And I believe there's 11 different carriers. I
Somewhere
think
around
David Zach told me that. I see Beth nodding. And so you have, you know, Bascom and Sycamore and North Central wanting to get in, and Spectrum and Charter One. And so there's so that's the good news. You know, we've got a lot of people or companies that do business here. And the purpose of the task force is to create an RFP, request for proposal, so we can bid a study. And the study is only as good as the input that goes into the study. And so we've asked TCEP and David Zach to chair it. Charlene will be part of it, regional planning. And at that meeting, then we will get input from the trustees, township trustees, schools, carriers. So we have some good inputs. We will then bid that out and then commission a study. So when people come to Seneca County and they want to do business, they have questions about broadband, we will have a very updated, not only study, but one that has all the stakeholders' input on it. So I feel pretty good about that. And as far as the commissioner role goes, I think that's our role. It kind of ends there. So don't have the price yet. We'll be coming, I'll be bringing that back to us to look to pay for the study, use some of the rescue money for that. And then as the county commissioners, we can say, this is our county, this is our plan, here's all the players in the county. And I think as commissioners, we want to make doing business in our county friendly and support all the stakeholders. And I think at that point, we're kind of going to be out of it. I mean, we'll be around and we'll help, but so that's kind of where I'm headed with it. We've talked about this before, but just if I'm allowed, that'd be a little recap. So that meeting's the 23rd. The process, I think, Audrey, takes us into November.
Yep.
We expect to make a decision on a vendor when? In that timeframe, is it November?
Yeah, let me pull it up real quick.
Yeah.
While you,
And TSEP put a nice timeline together.
I do have a question, quick
Sure.
question, Tony, if you don't mind.
Yeah, Bill.
So are we looking about maybe one vendor for the whole county, or is it premature yet on that part?
I don't know, I think it's premature, but I don't think it'll be one vendor. It's probably gonna be,
Because I didn't know if, it, like the electric
Yeah.
companies, they have their territories, if there was, that already.
I think it's free enterprise then,
Okay.
once we lay it out there.
Sure.
I mean, the end goal, Bill,
But
is
it's a
to
good
have
Yep.
state-of-the-art speed
Yep.
internet for all the schools and all the businesses in all the villages and all the townships.
Definitely. Yep.
So however that comes to be, that'll be how we get there.
Sure. Thank you.
so the contract with the firm that will be doing the study, if we follow this timeline, will be in place by November. And
Okay.
then by either the end of the year or by the end of the first quarter of next year, the study will be completed. So then we will have the document to work off of what the plan of action should be.
So I'll be bringing, so the committee is going to get 3 bids, and then we will recommend one of the 3,
Yep.
I think, and I'll bring it here, or have David Zach bring it here to present to us, and then we can decide.
Correct.
Good, so I appreciate that. This is also, this task force is being, as part of the COG, so we are going to, had Dr. Loring and Kathy and John DeVolian this morning to just go over that with them. I think this fits perfect, government, private, public partnership. They were involved back in 2017, I think, on the courthouse study. There was some good and some bad that came out of that, so I think we've got all the right people together. So this will be under the umbrella of the COG. TSEP will take the lead. Charlene and Regional Planning are right there next to TSEP to support with you down in rural county. So I feel good about that. That's the update there. EMS, just a quick couple comments. I went to the Bascom meeting last night. I talked quite a bit to 3 different people in Bloom, Scipio, AVR. Things are moving on. I think there's a little bit of confusion as to some of our message. So I think it's pretty, I'll try to give you my take on it. We had the EMS meeting, when was it, Jimmy? August 7th? 5th, thank you. I said 4th for a year. Now I said the
Somewhere in there.
Somewhere in there, in between.
Yeah.
But we had a good meeting on the 5th. We have a follow-up meeting on the 2nd. And one of the takeaways from that meeting was basically to, the commissioners laid out and just reaffirmed the plan that's already been there, okay? That's been well documented and discussed since 2014. We had all the people in the room. Bill was there representing Adams, and the question is, the statement was, we as commissioners are putting more and more money into EMS, and we're on a slippery slope. It's getting worse, so we have to do something different. And then as far as the EMS districts, they're doing all they can, and what they're actually doing is accumulating money because there's not enough volunteers. And so, now, to me, that's a good problem. We can all get together. We have a lot of positives that I think we could, if we start talking about it, we can get together. So we left that meeting and we said to everyone at the meeting, take 90 days, up to 90 days to figure out if you're in or out. Bascom had a good meeting yesterday, and they're just looking at all their options, and I support that. And that's what they need to do. They need to go back, talk to Hopewell, talk to Loudon, talk to Fire, talk to the community members. What direction do we want to go with this? And so I think we're headed in a positive, we have a good format. There's some, so we'll continue this discussion, which will be 30 days, our second meeting. We'll probably have 1 or 2 more meetings, and then whoever's in will be in, and we'll go down that path. We instructed Jimmy in conversation internally and with Ken and Danny to publish service reports, not to make it a negative by any stretch of the imagination. I think there's some confusion out there. We've done that. We've got some issues with it. So what we're trying to do is we'll continue to revisit this, Jimmy. We've talked about it. There's been a Facebook post and we replied, but we'll take a pause. We'll get this right. The whole purpose of the out of service report is to educate the public on what's going on with EMS. Okay, so if you're outside the inner circle, if you're not part of EMS, or you're not a coordinator, or you're not on the EMS board, you have no idea that it might be 3-4 calls until someone can get there.
On the other side of that coin, there are a couple ambulance districts that are amazingly in service a high percentage of the time.
Yeah, and
So it's not a negative, it's just what it is.
yeah, and so if you're at Bascom last night, I found this is just one interesting concept. So if you publish Bascom's out of service, some people could look at that as, boy, if I hit 911, nobody's gonna come. Bascom reminded me, look, that's not the case. If we can't come, Newark will come. Somebody's gonna come. So it's not, so these are the kind of things that we want to clarify, and so when we get it out there, it's kind of simple to understand, but it's not a super negative. And like Jimmy, like you say, it's what it is. The reports are what they are. We're not, they're either A or B. We're just publishing them, but they're confusing.
And I was quoted as saying we're at crisis level, and the reason that I think we are at that point is because we have hired 4 and a part-time
Full-time, yeah, 4 full-time.
paramedics to fill in across the county. And they are in different districts, ready to go, or different ambulance districts answering calls. And even with that, we are out of service more often. Now imagine, if you will, if we didn't have 48, 96 hours, whatever that is,
Times 2.
times 2 additional help, it's just not going the right way. And that's why the concern is so critical to me. The pain is very acute, if you will, and we are at a point where we need to make certain that we don't do things the same way to see what happens theory. So that's where we're at. And we're also very clear, and hopefully everybody understands, and again, this isn't any shot at anybody, but we are going to do a countywide ambulance service. If that means there are only 3 ambulance districts that are involved, okay. If that means everybody is, that's okay too, that's what we want. But it's gonna make a difference as to where we place those stations. So, if we think that we've got the north and the east covered, and we need 2 over there, then let's get to building those, and if we're not sure about other areas, then let's wait to see what the result is. So that, it's a process, and it's a 2 or 3 year process. And the other rumor that's out there is that somehow this is gonna add to the coffers of the county. Absolutely untrue. And in fact, it's cost the general fund money, significant money over the past couple of years. The only thing we wanna do is have enough money for a push. And that is, that there's enough money generated that we can pay for the people that we hire to have a 24/7 service with, a minimum of 2 people showing up or a professional to be able to help you.
Yeah, no, I think that's great, and so there's more to come. We, the commissioners, have been talking about this for 9 months, and one-on-one, we've had our moments. I can tell the public this. Jimmy, you and I have had moments, Stacy and I have had moments, Ken and I have had moments. But I want the people to know, I don't think anybody realizes how much time that this office is put into this topic, and how much we care, want to try to help. I can't, how many breakfasts have we had, Bill? So there's a lot of work going on. We just want to help. This is not anything other than trying to make the community we live in better and to try to help these EMS districts that are out there that really, they want to do something, they don't know what to do, and so let's control our own destiny, let's get it all together, let's keep it in the county. There's strength in numbers, efficiency. I want to make this comment, I just got back from traveling, I was reading the Wall Street Journal, and in the state of Pennsylvania, 6 state colleges are merging. And so Beth, you're president of the school board, Bill, so that would be like, Bowling Green and Toledo and Kent State. Now you have one president, you have one, there's efficiencies. But they're doing it out of necessity because the cost, the things are getting out of whack. And that's all we're doing. It's just 2021, 2022. We have to rethink the delivery of EMS. And to Commissioner Kirschner's point, we're only gonna have 2, 3, or 4 squads. And we have to put them in the right place, which means, somebody might be going to Adams Township, leaving Scipio Township or whatever. You're not gonna just have an EMS station in your backyard anymore. Still can be effective, but we have to figure this out cost effectively. So I appreciate everyone that's coming to the table. It's hard for them, they're trying. I'm getting questions when we do a Facebook post, we're getting questions when we don't say something, so we get it, we're gonna try to continue to be transparent, be upfront. If we make a mistake, we'll own it, but we need to get a format that we can all, and we're getting there, that we can buy into and move this thing forward. So that's my comment today, and thank you.
What we're trying to do, the 2 things that I think people want, I hope people want, is to be as transparent as possible, to lay the facts on the table, they speak for themselves. We said 100 times, you're entitled to your own opinion, but you're not entitled to your own facts. This is the way that it is. And
It's 101 times. I'm still
yeah,
laughing.
and as we sit here and process, the prism through which we make this decision is what is in the best interest of the people that we represent, period. There is no other motivation. That's just where we come from. So whenever you read anything, ask yourself, is this in the best interest of the people that are out there, or is this an issue that somebody has in a certain district? We're trying to make a decision for the entire county and not just for individual areas.
That concludes my report.
That's enough.
And part of your report.
Yeah, I bet. That's enough. We've talked enough.
Thank
Okay,
you.
what old business do we have?
Oh,
None?
none today?
Let's get to new business then.
Okay. I have a couple here. I have a request, juvenile probate court, asking for $1,000 into their travel and expenses. As you remember, at the beginning of the year, we kind of cut travel because at the time it was still, there was no in-person meetings. So they've got some seminars and trainings they need to go to, so they're asking for $1,000 in travel. And that's, one's on juvenile, one's on probate. The other one is for $1,100, again, just to do the seminars and trainings for the rest of the year. $1,100 into travel and expense. And I have request, this is 1176, the juvenile probate services equipment. They assisting in the purchase of a refrigerator for the Seneca County Youth Center, putting in $1,200.16. And then, I don't know if you want me to do the sheriff separately, or,
I think we're just gonna defer that till next week, whatever it is.
okay, is
So we
it,
have an opportunity to absorb. Is that the second two there, or? is
That's
that-
I guess on the agenda, that was the first one, 17,000 for
Oh, okay.
equipment.
We want to talk about it next week.
Well, that's one that I haven't, again, had enough time to really review to understand why that's necessary. Again, it's an additional request out of general fund for the sheriff. I don't know where we're at with the grant application for certain, but I know that we're within 2 weeks of finding out.
We're hoping.
And I know that won't take care of this, but I also know it will take care of some other things that might free up some money to take care of this. So, I would prefer, if we could, to defer that until 2 weeks down the road.
And I think, talking to Kylie this morning, there's an additional roughly 66,000 in already for next week
Okay.
for the
Yeah,
sheriff's office.
Until I understand the results of that grant application, I'd like to defer any future requests. We're not talking about kicking it down the road, but 2 weeks.
Yeah, so I'm okay with that. I mean, I personally called the sheriff and had a pretty direct conversation with him. I thought it was a healthy conversation. But he knows where I'm at. I get that he inherited a budget that he didn't know anything about, and I get that there's some policies and procedures, the way we do business, that maybe he wasn't aware of. But it seems like every week there's a request. So I basically said, I'm kind of feel a little bit like you, Mike, where I want to, we're in the budget process right now, we're just beginning it. And, if you have anything to bring us, my request to the sheriff was, don't come in every week, but if you have something, get it all ready, bring it in one more time, we'll look at it. And then, that's it, until we get through the budget and we know what we're doing. I mean, these are things I think that are just catching up, and, or they've been done and we didn't know about, or he needed to do and we didn't know about. I mean, whatever the reason is, I don't like coming to every meeting having a new request that we just gets put on the sheet, and so I would concur with Mike, and I had that discussion with the sheriff, and he assured me that he would do that, so I'll leave it.
So we'll carve this out
Okay.
Carve
today.
that out.
Okay. Then I have a resolution authorizing the annual assessments upon benefited landowners as defined in section 6131.01, the Ohio Revised Code, approval of the proposed maintenance work for the several single county ditches presently under maintenance work for 2021, and approval of requests for maintenance assessments for maintenance work performed and submitted by Seneca Soil and Water Conservation District Ditch Maintenance Department and approved by the Seneca County Engineer pursuant to 6137.03. And Beth is here if you had any questions about that.
It's a pretty broad resolution, but I think I get it.
She has the report, the spreadsheet with it that lists.
I think it really should read Beth can do anything she wants.
Don't tell the sheriff that. Yeah.
That's not asking for money.
No, I'm not.
She's actually collecting money.
I feel pretty good about it.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm excited that we have a human resources officer in the county now, because I am missing the person to lead this department and actually do all of the work that we know needs to be done. So,
Yeah.
just as a side note, if you hear
There'll be a
we collected
search.
all this money and it's not getting done, we're looking for that human to come get it done. So.
Okay.
Good.
Good.
Okay.
Indeed you are.
Indeed, I am.
I have resolution authorizing Commissioner Anthony Paradiso to prepare and submit an application to participate in the Ohio Public Works Commission State Capital Improvement Interlocal Transportation Improvement Programs to execute the contracts required for Issue 1, Round 36 for Seneca County. And then I have a resolution authorizing the Board of Seneca County Commissioners to sign the Ohio Department of Rehabilitation and Correction Subsidy Grant Agreement FY 2021 on behalf of Crossway CDBG or CBCF effective July 1st, 2021. This grant is to, purpose of the grant is to provide funds to common pleas, municipal and county court probation departments and community-based correction facilities to adopt policies, practices based on the latest research, how to reduce the number of offenders on probation supervised who violate the condition of their supervision. They get a total grant award of $90,960.
Okay, your pleasure, Commissioner?
So I make a motion that we approve everything that Stacy went over except the 17,000 for the sheriff.
Okay, I will second. Roll call?
Commissioner Paradiso?
Yes,
Commissioner Kirschner?
Yes.
I do have old business one thing.
Sure.
Sorry, we got our
Sure,
our
you're
reports,
welcome.
we were on a roll with our reports with EMS because we're, so Continental Street, the
By the advertiser?
yeah, the trustees, the Hopewell trustees want to vacate that, and they asked me where we're at with that process. I don't remember. Reading about it.
I don't think I've seen that one.
They've acted like, they're like it's up to us. So normally that
Yeah.
goes to Mark, right, and to, but the trustees want to do it.
It was Continental?
Yeah, there's at the end of Continental, there's a little turnaround, and they want to vacate that. The
You want to
trustees
vacate the
want.
entire street?
No, at the end, they want to vacate the end of it. I thought they were implied that we had everything. I never heard about it.
The
We usually do a visit.
only vacation I have currently is, and I can grab it quick, but I'm waiting on the report from Mark Zimmerman. But it wasn't, I don't think it
How
was
about
around
the one over there
Continental.
in Lodi? We were working on that one too.
Yeah, we've got to get with him yet. Yep.
So that's still in process.
Yep.
But this one, normally, you know, when the trustees come in and go,
Yeah.
we're good
Let me
with
grab it
this.
quick.
Yeah.
We do it, right? And all the land, everybody's in agreement.
Not always.
When everybody's in agreement.
Yeah, it's kind of a, but, yeah, we'll find out.
Sometimes landowners aren't through.
Oh, yep, it is Continental.
They show up at the viewing.
This is, yes, they submitted their resolution on July 23rd. I sent it to Mark Zimmerman. We got it during the week of the fair. Lisa out there got it to Tax Map to review the legal. So we're waiting on the
So
report.
it's gotta go.
As soon as I get the report back from Mark, because this is a township request, we don't have to do a viewing, we just have to do a hearing, because this is so different than kind of the ones we've done before. So yes, this is that one, but I'm waiting on Mark, and as soon as I get that report.
There's a number of houses on that street, I think.
So it's different when the trustees come and do it, right? That's
Yeah, there's a couple
very
different
common.
options. So like, for example, counties have different ways. We boys in Seneca County, not to lose this, always try to work, you know, collaborative with group effort and stuff, and sometimes that's a little more cumbersome. Sandusky County, they have a petition, the way they present it, you go to the engineer's office and turn in $500, and theirs is actually not so much a group project, but they do get input from everybody that's in the watershed, along with the engineer and other stakeholders into that, so yeah, there's different options.
Okay, so it's in process, that's my
Yep,
response.
Mark's got it right now. Jim Klaus had dropped it off, I can give him a call and let him know.
That'd be good.
But it's, yeah, right now it's just waiting on being reviewed, and we usually get a report from Mark, and then we set time and date for
Whenever
hearing.
they ask me, I always say, did you ask Stacy?
Did you ask Stacy?
Okay,
that's-
I'll ask her.
Nope, that's fine, yep,
Okay. so
we are
that's-
working on it.
That's good,
Yep.
thanks.
Okay, Audrey, find the interesting part of the meeting. What do you got?
Nothing from me today, other than, as Tony said, we are still taking RSVPs for next Monday's meeting. Got some of you on the list, from rural representatives from our rural school districts, townships, and villages. So if people are talking about that, make sure they contact myself or David to be on the RSVP list. Not only if they can't make it on Monday, that's fine, but we'll be spreading information to them for whoever the representative is as well. So we're looking forward to that. Nothing else new. We haven't had any announcements since last week, other than some great data coming out about the census, which we're still digging into, but that is looking good so far. And we still have information we're trying to get out for the grants for businesses, but nothing else new on our end at this point. Any questions for Tisa?
Is that 10 o'clock on Monday
Yes.
then? 10 o'clock?
Yep, you're on our list.
Yep.
When you're
And where's on
finished,
somebody's
can you
list?
come up?
What's that?
When the meeting's over, can you come up?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Sure, yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
What was that?
We made,
I said where's on somebody's list, so yeah.
we made the census bracket by like 96 people.
Yeah,
'Cause
55,000.
55,000 is the threshold where all of the elected officials would have
Salaries
dropped. So we made
I
that
never knew
threshold
that, yeah. So
by
thank you, everybody.
96 people.
I remember you saying 55,000 was the number.
Yeah, and we were at 56.7, and now we're at
Is that really how that
55,000.
works?
There's
I never
supposed to
knew
be
that.
another baby boom happening.
It could be.
So who knows?
Yeah. So yeah, that we got that notification just the other day. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yes, what do we have?
Yeah, good morning, everyone. From OSU Extension, just a brief heads up, report. 4-H just did a really fun STEM day at the office, so they did all different types of stuff on cooking, science, engineering. I think they did some coding even, and they did some like astronomy type programs too. I didn't get to sit in on a whole bunch of it, but it looks like they had a bunch of fun. Other events coming up with 4-H. Katie has a career readiness workshop coming up on September 26th from 5 to 7 p.m. at Sentinel. And these programs are not just specific to 4-H members. So if you happen to be working with any youth, or you guys have children, grandchildren, any family members that are interested in this, young adults, young youth, they'll be talking on resume building, building interview skills, those sort of things. Our 4-H extravaganza and grade A celebration is going on at the fairgrounds Sunday, August 29th. And so the extravaganza is going to begin at 2, a big pre-party, carnival games, all kinds of good stuff. And then the grade A celebration will be right after that. So if anybody, we typically have a silent auction. If anybody wants to donate a silent auction item, gift basket, anything along those lines, we would be more than happy to take those. Thank goodness we had Zoltan Feldman as our summer intern this year. It really helped out with 4-H camp, also fair, all kinds of good stuff. Zoltan has been like a glue in our office this summer. It's been so much fun working with him, but today is officially his last day. So he'll be taking off and heading back to school here shortly. On the ag side, we're working on our Exploring kickoff, our Exploring Agriculture program. We're going to be kicking that off at ST Genetics on September 30th. So we're going to be doing some recruiting of students. If you have any family members or students that you think have an interest in an agricultural career, let us know. We would like to recruit them for our Exploring Ag program. We visit different agricultural businesses once a month throughout the year to introduce kids not only to uncommon jobs in ag, but really to raise awareness of these are the types of jobs that we have right in our community that can keep you close to home once you're, done with school or done with college. There's really great jobs here in our community. In addition to that, I am working on preparing some presentations for Farm Science Review. We also have a Small Farms College coming up in our region. We have multiple fact sheets that are about to be published, we're working on getting the fact sheet process is quite slow, but kind of based around nutrition incentives, working with the farmers market. So those will be coming hopefully in the next 6 months or so. And then, like always, we're doing lots of on-farm research. On the bright side, our pest problems in all of our agronomic crops this year have been very minimal, and so we can't complain too much. It's been an eventful summer collecting, and we will still be collecting well into fall, but still, we haven't seen anything yet, so knock on wood. And then we are also planning for our next Master Gardener volunteer class. So that it happens every 2 years, and I was really glad that we didn't have class last year with COVID. Typically, we have a really intensive class for anybody who's interested in becoming a Master Gardener. I think the name is not appropriate. It's really anybody who enjoys gardening. You do not have to be a master in any way, shape, or form. A lot of our members are retirees, and our typical class has ran the first few months of the year pretty intensive, and it's an all-day process. We realize that's been kind of restrictive, so this next year our class is going to be all year long. So we're going to be doing different trainings at kind of like our exploring program, different businesses throughout our region, focused around different gardening aspects, talking with different experts throughout the community, and being a lot more hands-on rather than in classroom style. So we've got lots of planning going on with that, and our next farmers market is August 28th. So not this Saturday, but the following. Hopefully you guys will come out, or we'll have community members come on out. This is starting to get to be the best time of the year. So if you guys are excited for produce, we'll see sweet corn prices dropping. So if you're wanting to store some for the winter, we'll see all that kind of stuff. And then we have a wonderful produce season all through the fall too. So in a nutshell, that's it for me.
Okay, Mr. Ditto, I do see you're online today. A lot of times I ask and you're not. Do you have anything you'd like to add today? Or Highbridge has anything? I might call him snoozing too.
Maybe. Oh, there he comes.
Oh,
Yeah.
never snooze.
I'm sure you hang on every word,
Well,
right?
look at
Well-
Jimmy. Nice job, Jimmy, pulling that right up.
Bam.
I'm impressed.
No, thanks for the opportunity, and thanks for hosting us last week. We sent you just this morning, actually, some items to take a look at for the capital budget. So whenever you get a chance to take a look at that, there's no rush on there, just to get that conversation started. And if there's anything more follow-up that you need from the township meeting that we work with you on, glad to do that. I hope that was a helpful meeting last
It
week.
was.
Yeah, thanks for coming up. So on what you sent us, are you asking us to prioritize it or just to scrutinize it for accuracy, or what
Yeah,
step
so-
are we in?
Great question. So the list that you have in front of you in your email boxes is simply a very, very simple listing of projects that we've had the discussion. Yeah, there's no cost associated with that yet. That's come later, of course. We got plenty of time ahead of us, which is good. I think our next steps will be over the next several weeks to take a look at these projects a little bit more in depth, see what will be a real priority for all of you in the county. And then once that priority list is sort of put together and semi-finalized, we'd like to try and have an in-person meeting with Representative Click and Senator Reineke to discuss that more in full, probably later this fall. So again, time is on our side, but that's where we are today.
Thank
All
you.
right, thank you, Michael. Appreciate
You
it.
bet. Anytime.
All right. Anything else from the crew today out there? Anybody have any comments? Yes, Tom?
I'm looking at these windows here, and they got Venetian blinds on. With the screens up there, now if there was windows behind where the screens are, you couldn't hardly see it. I think you should think about that in this, what you're going to do to the new building, or not the new building, but the building with those windows.
CSP? Yeah.
Yes, because the first thing that's happened with windows, they put Venetian blinds on them because of the glares on the screens and stuff. I just think it's something to think about.
So we,
The other
so we,
thing-
so we put windows in for the natural light, and then we put blinds up to block it out, right?
Right. And, or drapes. And,
Well, that's a good question. I think they make a tent of some sort or whatever, but we definitely will ask that question.
That's the point well
Stacy.
made. Yeah, I get it.
The employees would very much appreciate to have windows.
Yeah, but they don't, but
and I don't care if it's raining
technology of
outside.
Windows now.
Are there a lot of
nowadays.
computers up on that second
Yeah.
floor?
But we can
It's got
tent 'em.
cubicles.
You can tent 'em.
Do you have a window in your
John,
office?
right?
Yes, I
You don't,
do.
by the way.
You can
You
tent the
do, it's
windows.
just,
Yeah.
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 And so you investigate that.
All right.
Okay, right, good point.
And I'm on their side, Mike, I don't, not the whole thing, but I would break the whole side of that building. There would be no limestone there.
Yeah, I think the visual's better, but that's maybe
We'll
just.
see what the architectural committee says too. I mean, they may,
I think they might have thoughts on that.
yeah, I'm sure they're not gonna say, make the whole side limestone. That's too bland, but.
It's all stucco now, so you know. Jimmy, make the announcement. Anybody else out there?
Yeah, anyone on Zoom that wants to come forward, if you're calling by phone, you can hit *7 to unmute your line. If you're on there, just hit the unmute button and come forward if you have any comments.
Good morning, Commissioners. This is Charlene from Regional Planning.
Hey, Charlene.
Hey, I'm sorry I'm not there today, but with good reason. This morning, your grant agreement came in for the capital improvement at Opportunity Park for $200,000. So I've been working through all the logistics on that to make sure it gets signed and goes through contract protocol. So sorry I missed being there in person, but wanted to make sure this gets moved on right away. So wanted to tell you that, and also wanted to say thank you for all the hard work on the CSB building. We're looking forward to the new entrance and the new directional finding. Thanks.
Thank you.
Good.
Anything else, Jimmy? Well, just as a reminder, we're back in red, as everybody knows. We have got tons and tons of masks, John, and tons of sanitizer. So we need to resupply, and if masks start to become again an issue, please remember, don't order any. Come and see us. I'm talking about the private sector even. We got some other money out there, so let us know if you need anything, and we'll supply them for the short term anyway. There are a couple of extra copies of the rendering for the CSB building. If anybody would like one, they're more than welcome to take it.
I'll put those online as well.
Jimmy will put them online as well. So that's the story.
It's good.
Anything else? Hearing nothing, we are adjourned.